RPG Escape 2020, the Adventure Game Store and Cafe, and ZealZaddy welcomes Darcy Ross. First of all, I'm both humbled and honored and delighted. You can tell I'm tripping all over myself to talk to you because, to me, I've been gaming like a lot of people. I've played different permutations of games that we loved and seen a lot of changes in those games. And you really are on the front lines in a lot of different ways, not merely as a designer, but also you have direct contact with the people who are both designing and using the games. Tell me, what do you think the state of game design and the health of it is today, right now?
It's such a fun, strange time, right? I think there's lots of innovation going on. I think the advance of things like Drive-Thru RPG and now itch. I don't know if you've played around on itch.io, but it started out as a video game distribution platform that was really cheap and good for creators, and so it created all this really interesting space for little indie creators to kind of get their works out there, to have conversations, to have game jams. And now that's happening with RPGs, right? We've brought the game design bar and accessibility so much lower and easier, so more people are able to sort of quickly try weird stuff. And so there's just a wild amount of content going out there right now. I think it's really healthy and awesome and really hard to keep up with. My roommate is John Harness, and he does a lot of the deep indie side of gaming, and so these are lots of one-page RPGs that look more like a poem than they do. It's even hard to figure out how to play them, and so I love seeing this kind of artistic exploration of what is an RPG, what are we looking for when we play, and I think right now I feel like we're in this stage where people are throwing spaghetti at the wall, and in the next few years I hope we see kind of more conversations about what's sticking, what innovations are things we want to develop further, and also sort of developing our own system of critique or reviews, because it's just, even as someone pretty tied to a lot of great creators who are watching this space, I really can't keep up with all the wild, awesome stuff going on.
And it sounds to me like you're describing a climate where great ideas are not coming from the top down,
right,
that they're coming from all sides, and that the inspiration is really just very eclectic and dynamic.
Absolutely. I love it. It's feeling a lot more artsy to me anyway, the stuff that I've seen, right? And I think even the layout and stuff you can watch, right? People are playing with what we can do with margins and how we make RPG books an experience to sort of page through, and how people are playing with kind of, I don't know, I think people are really playing with the format of RPGs. And OSR, I don't know if you are following a lot of the sort of zine culture of OSR, which is drawing, some of their inspiration is coming from
old school role.
Yeah, old school role playing, coming from 90s zine culture and cut up culture. And
right.
So I'm loving seeing how people are bringing really diverse expertises and loves and mashing them into this strange game form.
Right, and you're seeing a lot of influences from maybe some old school names that were around and who were still kicking. Steve Perrin, the designer of RuneQuest, is doing a lot of things. James Ward, who pioneered Metamorphosis Alpha and is now getting back into that, and doing the Starship the way he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But you're also seeing old dogs learning new tricks.
Yeah.
What's the most exciting thing about what you've got going on right now, and with both with Monte Cook Games and elsewhere?
Yeah. So Monte Cook Games is Monte Cook is a name that anyone who loved third edition.
Speaking of somebody who goes back a heritage name both personally and as a company in gaming.
Yeah, Monte Cook is a delight to work with. I was really, I was a fangirl of Planescape, and so a lot of his work on that second edition weird setting was of deep love to me. And he's worked on so much since, but some of the things that he's playing with now, of course, Numenera is what got me super back into Monte's work. It is a far future science fantasy setting that posits that Earth a billion years in the future will have humans on it amidst the ruins of amazingly advanced technology that we can't even understand, right? Technology is so advanced as to seem like magic. But the cipher system is what powers it, and it's elegant and it's fun. It uses a D20, but it draws some really interesting kind of narrative mechanics that have been percolating all over RPG innovation for a while, and it brought it together in a way that really worked for this gamer biologist who was really curious to see how can we think about how life will have changed around us.
You're like the Isabella Rossellini of gaming.
Oh my gosh. So Monte Cook Games came back on the scene, or emerged on the scene with Numenera, and since we've done the Cipher system, No Thank You Evil, which is for kids and games, which is another like field that's sort of growing and flourishing as gamers start having kids of their own and bringing them into the fold. And then one thing I also like that we're doing is Talus is a really well-respected...
Talus with a PT, like Ptolemy.
Yes, exactly. It was this enormous, ridiculous campaign
legendary setting, right?
Yeah, legendary
Campaigns
setting.
with Greyhawk, in terms of a setting, or Blackmoor, right?
Exactly, and it was shaped by a lot of the designers of 3rd edition D&D and so on. So Monte Cook Games is going to be bringing that to 5th edition and Cipher System. And it's just a beautiful book that still, lots of the layout and the cool features of it are influenced what, we brought to Numenera and what we've refined on. So it's super cool, I think, to be at a time where we're both experiencing wild innovation and these wild influxes of inspiration from these different fields, and we're also bringing back some of the nostalgia favorites and giving them new life, and also making them accessible to new people. Right? You couldn't get Talus forever. I heard about it, whispered at my high school D&D game. Right? It was this legendary, massive book and all these cool secrets in it. And I was able to snag one off eBay, but it was like a big find. So I love that publishing is bringing a lot of stuff into people's hands more easily these days.
Do you think that gaming has got a welcoming, diverse climate and one that encourages people to come in and bring who and what they have that's unique to the climate and to the party into the rest of the party?
Gosh, I always talk about the community. I'm a community manager for Monte Cook Games.
And that word has so many different connotations depending on who you are as a person. You can be in 10 different communities.
And so I think, the community can have strange corners of it, right? And so strange corners that are particularly welcoming and inclusive. My D&D high school game was full of women, so I just grew up not feeling weird about that at all. Until later when I was like, hey, where are all the women in my college games? Oh no. And so I think the broader community has gotten a lot more inclusive, a lot more welcoming. Overall, I think there are still pockets that are tough, or people that are tough are still growing with kind of a changing audience. It's hard to know what I know some people worry about what they can and can't say because the audience is changing. And I think that's good growth, right? It's hard.
Sure, right. And there should be sensitivities to people's thoughts. That is what political correctness is in its purest form, where we just take account of some people may have sensitivities, and don't we want to all try to get along to the best that we can get along?
Is our goal for everyone to have fun here? I hope so.
Yes,
so how do we make sure that happens? Well,
you're a tremendous amount of talent packed into a very small space, and I can't wait to see what kind of new things that you bring to the gaming party. Darcy Ross, to be continued. All right, stay with us. More to come.
Thank you.